Hey, Sarah, are you excited for Devil May Cry 5?
Hell yeah, I am.
Do you want to talk about Devil May Cry?
Hell yeah, I do.
Do you want to talk about DmC Devil May Cry?
Oh. No, not really.
Well, we're gonna. This is The Gorge. It is a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a topic. Sarah, what are we talking about this week?
This week we're capitalizing on the hype for Devil May Cry 5 by not talking about Devil May Cry 5 because I guess we just kind of hate ourselves. And we're going back to a thought experiment we did a while ago. Last year. It's been a while since we've done an episode like this. But if you recall, or if you're a new listener and you want to go scroll through our backlog, because we have a lot of episodes, we did an episode called Fixing Fallout 4, where Ben and I sat down for longer than I anticipated and talked at length about how we would restructure Fallout 4 to be a good video game instead of a bad video game that we kind of love. And we're doing that again, except this week, if you couldn't tell by the title of the episode, we're fixing DmC Devil May Cry. Yes, that Shakespearean endeavor of Tamim, we are gonna take a crack at it and see if we can do better. Hint, we probably can.
It'll be very interesting because Fallout 4 is a game that both of us love very much, even though it's awful.
It's awful.
It's a bad game
it's
that
not
we both
a great
love.
video game that we have just invested so many hours into.
Mm-hmm. But DmC Devil May Cry is a game that we both hate.
Loathe entirely.
It's not a good game by any stretch of the mean.
Well, okay.
It's a good...
My opinions of DmC Devil May Cry have, softened in the last couple, weeks. I don't know. I guess I hate... There's a lot about it I hate, and a lot of it I'm just kind of ambivalent towards, and so, So it kind of measures out to me just being eh.
Well, it's one of those things where, better to be a 1 or a 9 than a 5.
Right, yeah. It's just really tepid to me.
It's a very 5 game.
Yeah, and that's not taking, the people behind it into account, and the terrible, terrible writing. Oh my god. The writing is really, it is still quite bad. Even if the game itself is just, fine. In terms of, a Western-made character action game, I guess it is technically better than, it's better than God of War 1, just in terms of sheer gameplay, it's better than God of War 1. I don't think it's better than God of War 2. God of War 2 and 3 are pretty fucking good. But, yeah.
As far as, the gameplay goes, yeah, as far as it goes, it's playable. You can... It does the job, but to bear the name Devil May Cry has, a bit of prestige behind it.
Yeah.
This game...
just did not capitalize on.
No, it does not. So...
Yeah.
In lieu of being the kind of pessimistic or cynical type of game analysis / review / podcast YouTube community,
yeah,
I prefer to think of things more positively. And
never mind, we already spent half of an episode just dog shitting all over this game.
We did, and so now we go. All right, well, how do we make it better?
How do we fix DmC Devil May Cry? How do you do it? Because I think I mentioned at least either in the episode, that was our riff tracks for the game itself, or maybe for the episode that we did on it, or maybe both. I was very drunk when we were talking about doing the riff tracks for DmC Devil May Cry. I mentioned that it's you shouldn't, but you can reboot Devil May Cry. You could. It's not... it is a thing that is doable. It's not like some other stuff where it's like, why would you would never reboot Star Wars. I mean, I'm sure Disney would love to, but you wouldn't.
Right, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't. But Devil May Cry is like, I can see kind of where Inafune was coming from, because it is all Inafune's fault, and it's the reason why Mighty Number 9 failed, is because actually, surprise, Keiji Inafune is not actually that good at video games. He's just kind of good at design.
Did you notice that Capcom has done nothing but improve since Inafune left?
Yeah, whoops. Oh man, it's almost like Inafune was actually like way out of his depth. And probably just should have stuck to Mega Man's.
He got lucky in the early 80s and then rode that.
He rode that for, 20 years, my god. And then finally Capcom wised up and they booted him. So yeah, DmC Devil May Cry is Inafune's fault. And I can almost kind of see like where he was coming from, because like this game came out in 2011? Yeah, because its aesthetics are like super outdated for the year. Like if you had told me this game came out in like, I don't know, 2007, did this game come out in 2011?
No, I thought it was 13 because it was after 4, wasn't it?
Oh god, it was 2013. Boy, this game's aesthetics are really outdated.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was gonna say, like, if this game had come out in 2007, so you're still in Bush era, like all this, like this Green Day style fucking, like, mall punk aesthetic would make sense. By the way, we know we finally won. If you Google DmC Devil May Cry, all you get is Devil May Cry 5 news, and it rules. We won, fam. We did it. But I get where he's coming from. 2013 is the heyday of, like, Modern Warfare, things like that. So he's thinking, like, well, if we want to make bank off of the Devil May Cry franchise, we should just give it to a Western developer, blah, blah, blah. It was a bad decision, but I can almost see where he's coming from like, a purely pragmatic standpoint. So we are going to, yeah.
The logic is kind of there.
Kind of.
Like, Devil May Cry is a PS2 era game, and this was in 2013, right. And I know that's you're really cutting it close to the era of being comfortably rebooted.
Yeah,
like
so 2013 would put it 5 years after Devil May Cry 4, so. That's kind of like, God, video game timelines are so short. It's like, we haven't had a game in 5 years, reboot it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're really towing the line, but I guess that's fine. I guess it's okay.
I guess it's fine. I'm trying to think, like, if there were successes. God, because it feels like every Japanese company was like, let's just give it to Westerners. And, like, was there like a title that was successful? Because, like, Konami did it, Capcom did it. Like, did some other Japanese dev have, like, great success by handing their properties over to Western developers? Because it feels like...
Metroid Prime.
Was Metroid Prime... So Metroid Prime was a Western joint.
That was... who is it? Retro Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's because there was a big hubbub recently where... excuse me. Nintendo wanted to give Prime 4 to Namco Bandai, allegedly. Mm-hmm. And they just put out a thing that said, hey, we scrapped all of, like, literally everything of Metroid Prime 4, and we gave it to Retro.
Wow, shocking. Maybe you should have just done that to begin with. Kind of seems like that's their forte, but okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
sure.
So, like, I guess there are some versions where it's a success, but not like this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. And, maybe it's just because it was a long time. I was in college. I wasn't really paying attention to video games as closely in 2011 to 2013. I was too busy, like, trying to not drown in college. And so I wasn't as focused on them. And I'm just trying to think if there was, like, anything. I guess, like, All I can think is that they saw that Square Enix was having success with Western studios, because at that time is 2011 is when Deus Ex Human Revolution came out and was like a big sleeper hit, and it's kind of around that time that the first Tomb Raider reboot game came out. Tomb Raider reboot. You only get the movie, whatever. So, I'm thinking like maybe that's what it was. They saw that Square Enix was having some kind of success with like Western studios. I
mean, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this if they were chasing a trend that we just kind of never really acknowledged, or if they were just like, fuck it, give it a shot. They seem cool. Get in.
I guess. I guess they saw Heavenly Sword, which is kind of like a half-finished character action game. It's really short. Yeah. I don't know. We're getting off topic.
The point is that we can fix it.
We can make it better, faster,
we can.
Stronger. We have the technology.
This game needs all of those things to be better, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, it actually does, because I was watching, like when Pat and Wooly were playing it, like one of the things that stuck out to me about this game was like, boy, this game feels really slow.
Feels really slow and really weak hits.
Yeah, and just, I don't know. So, we are going to make an attempt to do Devil May Cry right, because this whole tangent we just went off on for 10 minutes, like, it all boils down to the fact that I think you could, with a deft hand, reboot Devil May Cry. You don't need to, but it is within the realm of possibility. So we're going to try that.
So now, before we do that, let's lay down some ground rules.
Yes.
So, I wrote down a few, and we collaborated on them. First rule is, it's gotta be the reboot. We can't just tie it to the original series. We can't do a fresh take on it. Right. We have to stick with the reboot game that was given to us by Ninja Theory.
Because the episode is called Fixing DmC Devil May Cry, not writing Devil May Cry fanfic.
Right. It has to contain Dante, Virgil, Cat, Mundus, and more or less the original plot beat that we got in the game.
Okay.
And just to keep in mind that this is a game designed for a Western audience by Western devs. So things that you and I enjoy about Japanese action games may or may not apply.
Right. Okay. Those are perfectly fine rules, because we are trying to make this just a better version of what Ninja Theory gave us.
Right.
So, with that in mind, I know you have stuff written down. I have things in my brain. I'm going to let you go first, and we're going to expound off of that. Sound good?
All right, sounds good, yeah. Let's start off by addressing the biggest but physically smallest elephant in the room.
Okay.
That is Cat.
Oh, Cat, you poor creature.
Let's get her taken care of.
Yeah, let's get her squared away. Because, boy, Ninja Theory done Cat dirty. And, it's not even, I can't even say, she has potential. It's like, no, not really. But by God, we're going to
try. We're gonna scrape away. We're gonna pick away at the cat and try to find the bits we can use still.
I really was sitting over here in horror, waiting for you to make some sort of fucking lame joke about scrape away the cat to find the tiger or something like that. And I was just like, he's gonna do it. I was bracing myself for some incredibly lame joke like that, but she didn't take it.
No, so I didn't have the time to think of it.
Man, okay. Well, I guess I did it.
Now I have a few ideas for what we can do with Cat.
Okay.
And I think in the interest of fitting her, this kind of fixes one of the other problems with the game as a whole.
Right.
Which is DmC Devil May Cry is gross.
DmC Devil May Cry is extremely gross, like on every level.
It's a dirty game, and not like in the dirty as in like a perverted sense, but also it's kind of grimy, and there's a slime to everything that happens.
And it's not like a fun grindhousey slime. Like if they were trying to make it kind of like a gross old 70s movie, they failed. Because it's not fun the way a gross old 70s movie is fun.
It's more gross like you got a whiff of a sewer grate walking through a city in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. And it just kind of feels like dirty. Even like the cool level designs are like they just kind of have a veneer of grossness to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Film. So, in the interest of that, I think what you can do with Kat is, instead of making her a weird, gross, dirty, like, collecting bug parts and squirrel semen for her magic.
It's really weird.
Make her...
I mean, what... Like, did they think that was funny when they were right?
I think they thought that was funny. I think they thought, this will get a good laugh out of the audience that likes Van Wilder.
Okay, carry on. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's totally fair because
this is not the shit on Devil May Cry, DmC Devil May Cry hour. It is the fixed things. But every time I think about it, I'm just like,
but why? No, that's a totally fair point. Is that the writing in this game is bad and flawed.
This was so bad.
We have to acknowledge that to fix it. But
the first step to fixing a problem is admitting you have one.
So instead of Kat being a weird, gross bug collecting, semen collecting, dirt creature, make her a weirdo, shut-in, tech savvy mage.
Okay.
The idea of, instead of her having the scrolls that you spray paint the things on, or having her get collections of like potions and stuff, how about the idea of a mage whose ancient tome has been scanned into a PDF on her tablet?
See, that's kind of interesting. I was actually going to lean harder into the so there's one like pretty interesting piece of concept art for Kat. The outfit is atrocious and is very much just like you narrow your eyes at Tamim when he calls Trish and Lady like strippers with shotguns, because like the outfit she's wearing in this is literally just the kind of dress you'd see a stripper wear, like 100%. But she's holding a dope violin weapon thing. It looks like it's like an electric violin. Yeah, really
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna lean harder into that because it just seems cooler. And you know, DmC Devil May Cry has like an okay soundtrack. It kind of feels like it was supposed to be a big deal because it's by Combi Christ or whatever the hell that guy's name is. So like my idea was to, you know, like give Kat a weapon and not like make Kat be useless. And you know, actually a functioning member of this little trio that we've got going, instead of like a damsel in distress plot device like she ended up being, where she just kind of like exists to be tortured
and ignored by everyone.
Yeah, and she's a sexy lamp. Everything that Kat does in the game could be accomplished with like a pendant on a rope.
Yeah.
You know? So, oh well. But yeah, no, like techno mage or just some kind of thing that's not gross is a good start to making her, you know, more of an appealing character. Yeah, and like the computer whiz thing is, I think I know where you're going with this, so I'm gonna hold on to saying what I think you're saying. But yeah, with Kat, I think one thing we've always agreed on, like Kat in DmC story-wise, is like the biggest change you could make to Kat to make her an interesting character who like you root for and is what's that word I want to use? Useful? And it actually has, like, an effect on the plot. Kat is the leader of this weird anonymous resistance group. That's it.
Yeah, and she's not even really the leader, because Virgil is.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, like...
Oh, in the reboot, yeah, in the fix.
In the fix, in our fixed version, she's the one in charge.
Give that duty to Kat.
She's in charge. Virgil's got his own deal we can talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
But, like, Kat is the founder, and we're taking away rape as a backstory because...
that's bad. Don't do that. Stop gross. Doing that.
This game came out in 2013 when it was already pretty gauche. I mean, you know, it's been 5 years and it's more gauche now, but even back then people were starting to go pretty regularly. I don't know if that's cool. If that's like a thing you should inflict on your female lead to make her suffer, to make her more like relatable. You know, like that's not cool. So we're taking that part out. But sure, we can still say that Kat was raised by a demon in human skin who treated her poorly or whatever, and we just take out that one horrible implication, thanks. You know?
Yeah, and then we just leave it as it is, because Lady had a similar backstory, and she wasn't raped.
Yeah, it's really just like, and you get it, that's kind of what they were going for, I guess with this reboot, is that Kat is a less like bombastic Lady, you know?
Right.
Which is why Lady is so much cooler.
Yeah.
But so, cause like Kat kind of sort of fills Lady's role, I guess, cause she's interacting with both twins to a degree, even though like Lady and Virgil literally have 2 lines to each other, I think. And you know, I guess she was supposed to kind of fill that role, but that sucks. So, instead, I guess it, like, the backstory could just be, hey, you know, my adoptive father or whatever was like a demon, and I watched him do horrible things to other people, and I just had to sit by helplessly because I was just a little kid who couldn't do anything. Which is cool, because you could totally tie that back into, like, I don't know, making her more relatable to, like, the other main characters, the way it works in Devil May Cry 3. There's gonna be, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of that in this episode.
No, I was trying really, really hard to not just say, how do you fix DmC Devil May Cry, as you just make Devil May Cry 3 again.
You make Devil May Cry 3. But listen, we're gonna do it, because the problem centers, so in DmC 3, the point of relatability between Virgil, Dante, and Lady is murdered mom, right?
Right.
Like, that's the whole point, is that, like, oh, Lady hates demons, she thinks they can't feel anything. But look, these 2 twins have been, like, irreparably fucked up by the same horrible thing that has irreparably fucked her up. Like, oh, so, like, demons can feel the same kind of existential pain that I am feeling right now. So instead, what you do is you make it, because like this game, DmC Devil May Cry, has more, it actually bothers, the one thing I kind of thought was interesting, that it actually does bother to do a flashback to when the twins were children. Mm-hmm. And it does it a few times, which is, like, you know, interesting, because we never really get to see Dante as a kid in Devil May Cry, except for in that new trailer for 5. Holy shit! Yeah. Anyways, so what you do instead is you center it less around, like, murdered mom, and more so around, like, childhood of helplessness. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you were a kid, the world around you sucks, but you were small and powerless, because this game is also about, it is technically about, like, the concept of rebelling against, like, a system that does not give a shit about you, and lets you kind of fall through the cracks. Because that's kind of what it is, sort of. You know, like,
sort of, like, it's trying to do that.
Because, like, Dante, you know, like, they're all off the radar, so it's kind of like the system has let them fall through the cracks after, like, a lifetime of misery. Although, again, this is me reading way better into Tamim's writing than probably Tamim did himself, but the author is dead, baby.
A lot of the things that we're discussing is more stuff that Tamim probably just thought was that cool guys did.
It's a thing that cool guys do to, cut open your chest and feel around and make sure you have a heart, which I saw that the other day on the subreddit, and I was like, oh god, that's right, that was in this game. I can't believe he actually thought that was a good idea. Cool. Fine, alright. So instead, sorry, we're getting off topic again. Center it more so around the concept of just like, you are helpless because of X, You're helpless because you're just a human girl in a world ruled by demons, and you can't do anything, look, see, you watched all this horrible shit your dad did, and blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of also works for the twins, too, this concept of, like, you are helpless in a world ruled by demons, and you are also shunned by the angels, which I guess we'll keep.
Yeah.
So you are just hated irrationally, and because it's only the two of you, you are alone in like a cold and unfeeling world. Okay?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So instead, Kat kills her dad, her adopted dad, and then decides to start this organization to try and push back against the demons, and because she's like because she has like a cool like murder violin, or because she's like a techno mage, and her dad was like doing like fucked up rituals, like demon rituals. She knows about this shit, right? She knows all about like demons and angels and things like that, and she knows, hey, you can kill a demon lord with the help of a Nephilim. So she centers her new organization thing around the idea of finding a Nephilim.
Now, that's interesting, because I wanted to talk about the idea of the Nephilim too.
Hit me.
Because I think both you and I agree that the demon lord can only be killed by a Nephilim thing doesn't work. Really.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's one of those things where it kind of... Now, the important thing is, and this is good to consider about rebooting anything in general, is that rebooting a series, a long-standing series, is less about getting the details right.
Yeah.
And more about making sure you're capturing the spirit of the original product.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean.
More, what is this thing trying to say, than making sure all of the characters match up.
Right, yeah, because, like, the Marvel movies, debatably, I have mixed feelings about the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies debatably accomplished that, and more so Castlevania, the anime.
Right.
The Castlevania anime is really a good example of being like, this is... It's not a one-to-one perfect adaptation, but it captures the spirit of the thing extremely well.
Right, exactly. So, the spirit of Devil May Cry, the original series, is more about the strength of humans, of ordinary, normal people, compared to overwhelming odds. The reason Dante and Virgil are strong is because they're half human, not because they're half demon.
Right.
The reason Sparta woke up to justice is because of humans. He fell in love with a human woman.
Right.
So the idea of a Nephilim being the thing that can ultimately triumph goes against the spirit that Devil May Cry has been built around.
Right.
So, what we can do is we can either scrap the Nephilim idea in the first place and make Ava back to being a normal human.
Okay.
Or we get rid of the Nephilim prophecy thing and just say that being a Nephilim means that you can wield both angel and demon weapons, which makes you just regular good at dealing with those kinds of threats.
Right.
But it's through Kat's guidance that Dante finds the strength and the ability to go on.
Oh, that's not bad. That's pretty good, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I think that works more so, because if we are gonna keep the plus if we want to keep like some of the bones of Devil May Cry, DmC Devil May Cry is like a video game, while the color-coded enemy things was always a bad idea and has always been a bad idea, and my god, whoever is responsible for that should have been taken out back and beaten with a bag of oranges. Like, the concepts themselves are cool, angel and demon, like, related weapons and stuff, and, angels don't exist in the Devil May Cry, like, mainline franchise. They just don't. I think Itsuno's even said so. And so it does kind of differentiate itself in a unique way from the original series. I don't know. I think just in the spirit of the thought exercise, let's go with option 2.
Okay, so
I think the Nephilim thing is there's still like a thread there, because it gives Kat a reason to actually like seek out this like drifter asshole. You know?
That would, and the Nephilim thing would more serve as a gameplay mechanic, which is, again, you can get weapons from both sides of the group, and that's why you get a cool, noble-looking angel weapon and a big, crunchy demon weapon.
Yeah, the one good weapon, well, the two good weapons in DmC Devil May Cry are the badass axe and Aquila, the ring things. They're both cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll keep the Nephilim thing. I think that's fine.
Now, I think this is something that was sorely lacking from DmC Devil May Cry as well.
Okay.
There's something else. And the question is, how does Kat find Dante? In the game, she just walks to his trailer, and she's like, "Hey, Dante, the demons are coming." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "You gotta go now." And he's like,
"Yeah, it's really abrupt, isn't it?"
And it's not the game. The game doesn't make it clear if this is something that happens to Dante regularly, because she's like, "You're getting dragged into limbo," and he's like, "Ah, shit. Ah, well, where's my gun and my sword's back?" But then later he's like, "What's limbo?"
Yeah, it's weird. Like, does he know what's going on or not?
I don't know. Like, are you really there? Like, can I hurt you if I try to shoot you? I don't know what a limbo is, but here's my sword rebellion that I am familiar with getting.
Yeah, and like your fancy guns, which, like, why do you have fancy guns if you don't know anything about like demons and shit? I mean, I know he technically, apparently, the backstory for Dino is that, like, the reason he was like on, God, I hate even saying it. Fuck, I hate this game so much sometimes. The whole reason that, like, he was like forced on medication. God damn it! God, I hate this game. Just saying it makes me like want to throw up because it sucks so much, But like the whole reason he was put through a bunch of shit as a kid was because he was attacking stuff that he could perceive as demons that other people saw as people, Right. Like, that's Dante's backstory. And it's bad.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. So...
Right.
So 2 things.
Okay.
Let's just throw limbo in the garbage. It's just, there is no limbo, and the demons are just not a known entity, kind of like they are in regular Devil May Cry, which is, you don't really hear a lot about demons in Devil May Cry until they start fucking shit up.
Right.
And people just kind of deal with it. It's just kind of like an underground thing that only people within that community kind of deal with.
Right.
The other thing is, Dante needs a Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the thing that is the name of the game.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he doesn't have the thing. And I swear to God, I think that, like, so Itsuno himself has said before that he is pretty fond of DmC Devil May Cry as like a thing. He likes it. I don't get it, but whatever. He's a weird guy. It's cool. And, like, I am 85% sure that that the van in 5 is like a weird callback to Dante's fucking trailer.
I could see that, honestly.
And the idea of, like, Dante as, like, roaming devil hunter in DmC Devil May Cry 2 was, like, maybe a concept that they were kicking around before deciding to do 5 instead. You know, so, like, I feel like the idea of roaming devil hunter, just like a guy with a truck, is a concept that was reused in 5, which is a non sequitur. Because I don't know if it would necessarily work, because it also feels like cheating to, like, crib from, like, 5.
But, I mean, on the flip side, you and I both know that the first 5 trailer was set up to kind of look like DmC Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, it was definitely like a bait and switch to get people that much more excited once they realize that it isn't DmC Devil May Cry 2.
So the idea is not something that's, like, necessarily exclusive to Devil May Cry 5, but the idea of Cat seeking Dante out because he is kind of known as a demon hunter type already is a good starting point. It gives her a reason to actually look for this, like, actually know this guy's name and go seek him out. Instead of just kind of showing up because she knows him, I guess, because Virgil told her something.
I guess. There's like a prequel comic to DmC Devil May Cry. I've never read it. I'm never going to read it, but I know it exists. And it's probably one of the more cringy things you can ever put your hands on. But we're gonna take a step back. I don't know about booting Limbo, because Limbo was the source of, like, the one truly unique aesthetic kind of choices in DmC, which is, like, these exploded buildings and, like, you know, kind of, you can do like weird Inception crap. Like, boy, did somebody at, like, Ninja Theory watch Inception a lot when they were making this game.
Alright, you know, that's fair. That's fair.
It's like the one thing that kind of distinguishes DmC Devil May Cry from its predecessor. But
I guess in that case, I would say then make Limbo less of a weird, a unknown entity, and make it more of an established thing that the characters are aware of. Because I think part of the thing that makes Limbo so weird and stand out to me, at least, is that it's not clear how much everyone knows about what Limbo actually is.
Right.
And, like, what it does. And
I feel like Limbo could tie into this concept of, like, a shadow, like how you were saying in the mainline franchise. Like, demons are a thing that a certain subset of people know about. And it's usually people kind of involved in, like, the weird occultism, like, subculture in the Devil May Cry world. So you could just kind of say that Limbo is like that. It's like a weird occultist thing, and, like, some people know a lot about it, like Dante, who should definitely know a lot about it, and some people don't.
I like what you said about it being a subculture thing, because that really does tie in with the more political, cultural commentary that DmC Devil May Cry attempts. More so than the actual mainline games do, which is set in modern year.
It's set in Don't Worry About It. That's where Devil May Cry is set in. It's called Don't Even Think About It or You'll Go Insane.
Whereas DmC Devil May Cry is more firmly set in the mid-2010s.
Yeah, it's kind of set, ironically, compared to, like, you know, Resident Evil. It's just kind of set in the year it came out, it feels like. It's got cell phones and computers and security cameras and Fox News and all that stuff.
So the idea of, in this world where, you know, communication and social media and stuff are more rampant, you would actually need an invisible world that only a select few can see and know about.
Right. To
have this sort of demon subculture going on.
Right, yeah, if you're going to have everybody have phones, then you've got to kind of you've got to think of a diegetic reason for why not everybody knows about demons. Because otherwise, it would be all over the internet.
Yeah, which, now that I think about it, is what happened at the end of DmC Devil May Cry.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really dumb.
It's kind of dumb. Like, the whole world knows about Limbo, and that means people can fight against demons now?
I guess.
Or
now they just live alongside. I don't know. It's not clear because they never made a
sequel. We saved the city, Dante. The city's on fire.
We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. But no, the idea being that in this secret demon world,
right,
you can even have Dante still be off the grid, as he's just kind of a, in the original timeline, Devil May Cry has a password you need to give to actually hire Dante.
Yeah.
So you can apply that again, that statement, that concept, without necessarily one-to-one-ing it, but you can bring that into the reboot idea by having him just run this shop that is just only known within some circles as, in the demon community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's still kind of an abrasive jackass about it. Maybe he just doesn't get a lot of business that way.
I mean, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong, not to crib from Dan Olson, who did some really good videos about the 50 Shades series, and he says, with regards to Christian Grey, there's nothing wrong with, like, Christian Grey being an asshole. And so there's nothing wrong with Dante being an asshole at the beginning of DmC Devil May Cry, because I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Dante at the beginning of Devil May Cry 3 is kind of a sociopath.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's kind of a massive asshole. I mean, like, he's like a fun, wacky, wahoo pizza asshole, but there are also times when he's, like, interacting with Lady, who's, like, talking about her murdered mom, and he's just goofing off the whole time, and you kind of go, oh, right! He would actually be really insufferable to hang out with at this point in his life. Okay. Like, you wouldn't actually want to hang out with Dante for, like, the first 12 missions of DmC 3, because he just kind of sounds like a huge prick, honestly. So there's nothing wrong with Dante being an asshole, and I think that's something that a lot of people kind of forgot, just because, like, we've played a lot of Devil May Cry, where he is just kind of like a likable goof.
We've had Devil May Cry 1 and 2, where he is, especially with 2, his personality is debatable, but we know that he gets better. He gets better, yeah. We have that foreknowledge already, so it's like, it's easier to accept, Right. Kind of like in replays of Tales of the Abyss, where Luke will get better.
Yeah.
So he's a little less insufferable the second time around.
But there's nothing wrong with him kind of being an abrasive dick at the beginning of DmC Devil May Cry, the fixed version. Like,
right.
It's fine. Because it's like, who else, like, and it's a thing he can say, like, literally, who else are you going to get to handle this? It's just me. So, if you're kind of in tune with that subculture of weird occult crap, then you know who Dante is, and it leads to Kat seeking him out. Like, hell, you could even have that be a bit of a running, like, a sticking point with their character development throughout the two of them. I can see a scene early on where Kat lets it slip that Dante is the only one who can handle this. Yeah. So for better or for worse, she's stuck with him. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, if we keep Bob Barbas, which honestly I want to keep Bob Barbas because he's the only interesting boss fight in that game. Mm-hmm. So like back in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, kind of the beginning of the 90s, there was the Satanic Panic, which was like people freaking out about occultism. And how they would, like, murder kids. And none of it was real, turns out. It was all fake. It was all fabricated by some very aggressive child psychologists who used, like, bullshit repressed memories and stuff. And it's, like, a whole thing. And, I mean, most people know what the Satanic Panic is. But it was all over the news. It was a big, like, part of the news cycle back in the day. And that would be, like, hey, that's, like, a real thing that happened. You can kind of, like, draw some of your influence from that and have like jokey joke news, like, like news crawls about occultists sacrificing children in the woods, you know?
One of the best bits about the Bob Barbas fight is when you do those Fox News bits where it's like the guy is the man known as Dante is going nuts and slaughtering all these people.
Yeah, specifically women and children.
But like funny. You're just fighting the enemies, Right. Yeah, and it's like really that's good. An interesting bit, and you can apply that to this demonic subculture that's trying to do the right thing by keeping demons from killing people. But they get a bad rap for it. Yeah.
Because, hey, this again, it goes back to this whole idea of, like, you are powerless in the face of, like everybody controlling the world around you.
Which, the underdog who is blamed, by the media for the very thing they're trying to rebel against and fix, is that idea is far more Western than, than the Japanese thing.
That's Spider-Man's bread and butter.
Yeah, that's the superhero thing. That's the X-Men. All those, that's a very Western hero idea of the media says that I'm the villain, but I know I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, it is a very Western thing, I guess, because of like Western concepts of vigilantism versus like Japanese. The Japanese heroes don't really have to deal with that problem. Like you think of tokusatsu and things like that, where they are universally loved by the children and by the people. It's kind of like a running thing. That is a pretty Western concept that works out really well, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
See? That's what you can do.
To me, it's actually not that hard. We're two jerks on the internet.
You gotta lean into the right things and not the wrong things like you did. See?
Less Fight Club, more Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's that good graphics picture, but it's like good morals.
That's the cover of
it's the DmC Devil May Cry slideshow. Dante is Spider-Man. Dante is not Tyler Durden.
Oh yeah, man, that would have been so much better. See? Yeah, Dante could have just been like a douchebag Spider-Man, but no. Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty good. What we have so far, just to clarify and to get things kind of in order for when we go forward. I really thought this episode was going to be like an hour long, and I always underestimate us.
You do
every single time.
What we have so far is that Kat is the leader of an underground kind of secret rebellion that is trying to stop the demons.
Also, it's not very high-tech. It always weirded me out, like, how advanced, like, Virgil's op is in...
Yeah, he's got, like, command centers and, like...
It's not. It's, like, a bunch of weird occultists in a basement, and that's kind of why Kat needs Dante.
Like, when I first thought of Kat being a weird tech-savvy girl instead of a gross thing... is because I got the idea of her having, like, a small YouTube following or a small Twitter following.
Right.
But mostly she's just kind of like a punching bag because look at this weird, conspiracy girl on the internet who gets in front of her webcam every night and talks about the demons.
Right.
And then she can be on the news as... This girl is promoting demonology.
Crazy internet woman swears demons exist. Look at her. Isn't she crazy? Ha ha ha. Dante can even be like, aren't you the crazy chick from the news?
Yeah, and so but that's, that's just kind of more flavoring and just kind of devolves into Kat's, the underdog role.
Giving Kat a personality.
Yeah, like a thing to do and to overcome, like a character.
Like hardships to overcome that are just being tortured, like, gratuitously for, I don't know, to memes pleasure. Ugh.
I mean, it's more comfortable to make her embarrassed than, like, physically beaten.
But it's kind of like this idea that maybe she just doesn't care. And like, the deal is that like the weird YouTube like thing is kind of more a front for the fact that, she has a small group of people. and they fight demons, or they do the best they can with like the stuff that's available to them.
Mm-hmm. And so
they can't do a lot, so
she needs to seek out someone who can, and she needs to seek out someone who maybe can still use the angelic weapons that have been unable to be obtained because the demons the angels don't exist and demons have won.
Yeah, angels have all fucked off to wherever. They haven't been seen in, like, God knows how long. So, and humans can't use angel weapons, but they hurt demons, so you need somebody who can, and hey, there's this one guy, and he can do it. He's the chosen one.
She manages to track down this guy who owns his own demon hunting shop, and he gets no business because he's an asshole.
He's a huge asshole.
And she has to track him down, and she is able to detect that he is a Nephilim. Maybe he doesn't quite know the importance of his status.
Right.
Because he probably didn't care back when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I do want to throw out is the amnesia bit. That's not good.
It's not great. No.
It's a very cheap way to, like, reintroduce concepts is through amnesia.
Yeah, and it doesn't really work because, like, again, in the base, in DmC Devil May Cry, Dante kind of knows what's going on, and then he doesn't. Like, the game can't make up his mind about how knowledgeable Dante is, so let's scrap that.
It further shows Dante as an asshole if he is aware of things but doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
So he doesn't really care. He knows what a Nephilim is, but he doesn't care about that. And Kat has to convince him to seize his status and be the one who can free the humans from subjugation.
Yeah, and it's he's really just in it to kill demons. So in a way, he has a reason still to hang out with Kat, but it goes from, like, I want to kill demons to I want to do the right thing, which are two completely different things, honestly.
Right. And so that's when you do all the missions within Limbo and yada yada yada.
You do your thing. You probably don't do, like, the Slurm Factory because it's just the Slurm. I cannot. But when did this game come out? 2013. Futurama had been a thing for a really long time. Futurama had been
off the air and then back on the air when that came out.
So there is no reason for the Slurm Factory to exist in DmC Devil May Cry. I can't believe that nobody looked at that script and saw, like, mind control soda shat out by a big gross blobby thing, and nobody went, like Futurama? Really? Like,
that episode of the cartoon.
That blows that joke. Like, one of the funniest episodes of Futurama. That's the other problem.
It's one of the best. It's got one of the best gags of all time.
Clarence Mackenzie. Like, unfortunately, it's not even like a middling episode of Futurama.
Yeah.
It's like one of the, like, top 10.
It's like one of the episodes that's, like, the most quotable episode.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Like, so I can't understand how the soda thing happened. But, like, I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty, but sure, you need to say that you have to kill all of Mundus's generals. You just come up with some fucking excuse.
Come up with some demons, or hell, you can, at this point, you can totally recycle and repurpose some of the Devil May Cry 1 villains.
Yeah, sure.
And, update them and bring them into a modern thing, That would be a good way to bring Phantom and Griffin and all them and have them be reimagined business tycoons or celebrities or whatever.
Yeah, the idea even being that, like, only powerful demons can exist outside of Limbo. Like, all of it's not that, like, Dante is seeing demons everywhere when he's a kid. He's aware of them because, like, they exist in Limbo. It's not like regular people It's not like demons wearing the skin of regular people. You know what I mean? It's just that instead, there's a handful of, like, really powerful demons, and they can exist outside of Limbo because they're super strong. And they're all defending Mundus, and, hey, you've got to kill all of them because, like, duh, if you don't, then when you go to kill Mundus, he'll have all this backup. You know?
you have to go and take out the ones that you have to, you know, just like you would in any other normal game. You have to defeat the smaller bosses to work your way up to the big one, because otherwise you'll just call them for backup, and you don't want that, do you?
That'd be really bad.
You gotta knock out his communications, and then knock out the guy providing him with money or whatever. You know?
Right? Yeah. That's fine.
If you want to make Mundus, he was a politician.
He's like a
tycoon, like a CEO.
He's like a Rupert Murdoch type, where he owns like the fake news. The fake Fox News. Like, I don't know. I think he's just like a rich guy. I think he's just like a big rich guy. And I mean, like fuck billionaires, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that DmC Devil May Cry's message wasn't on paper wasn't a bad message. It's just, you did it in the worst way.
You did it in, like, the most, like, lame 2007 neoliberal fucking way possible. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't even try to have any kind of... I've called it before, it is bottom-of-the-barrel social commentary. Like,
right.
Like, soda is bad for you, women who get plastic surgery are sluts, isn't Fox News so terrible... like all of these like really bottom tier commentary. And I don't even want to really try to finagle out the commentary for like this rewrite. But I feel like if you gave me more time, I could probably do it better.
I mean, you can keep it like low, like obvious low quality commentary, but you just have to do it in a way that doesn't make you look like you think you're doing something profound.
Yeah,
like if you want to make Mundus just a big billionaire fat cat guy, that's all you really need to do. And
cool. Then he's Lex Luthor, congratulations.
Yeah, he's Lex Luthor, he's the Kingpin, whatever. That's it. But the idea is, again, these kinds of things are fronts for what's really happening, which is the demon stuff.
Yeah.
I think if you stick with that, you're fine. Is that on the surface, it's this guy is a billionaire and he owns half the city and he owns the news, so he can manipulate the news whatever he wants. Really, though, Mundus is a demon that has been subjugating humanity and has been leading all of these demonic troops to cause, like, literal violence and chaos to the humans.
Right.
Yeah. I'm picturing it now. Imagine if something like, say, like, Phantom comes back, and he is a handsome, rich celebrity movie actor guy.
Yes. Tom Cruise type.
Yeah, and then... But that's just a mask. It's just a very thin mask that he wears in the human world, and in reality, he is, Phantom, as we know and love him. Yeah.
Giant magma monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that would be, it's all just this idea of, like, people being fake and having, like, all these powerful people who pretend to be on your side. They're all fake. They don't care. That's, again, kind of bottom tier social commentary.
It is.
But it doesn't need to be, like, super deep. You don't need to, like, pretend that it's Shakespeare, which is a thing to meme or somebody has actually said.
It's one of the things, like, the idea of it being that, like, your story doesn't have to have a political... It can be a story about a person becoming a hero, like the hero's journey. Right. About someone learning to give a shit about other people.
Right.
And that's the ultimate point of it.
That's it.
As long as you are not... Like, the problem with DmC Devil May Cry is that it has this bottom-tier social commentary, but that's the message it's trying to give, is this really garbage social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
If the message that that our game is trying to give is something more along the lines of, hey, you have to take responsibility for yourself,
Yeah.
And sometimes you do actually care. You have to give a shit about things, and it's actually pretty cool to care about people.
Right.
You can have a bunch of social commentary stereotypes as your villains because they aren't the focus. They aren't. Yeah. And it's just a thing you can kind of point at and go, that thing sucks.
And you can just make it like, God, it's literally as simple as just drawing parallels between. Okay, so here's the. Fuck! Almost dropped my cup. The thing that like really makes, like, in the actual DmC Devil May Cry, the one thing that makes like Dante and Virgil and Kat kind of reprehensible is the sniper rifle abortion.
Right.
For many reasons. But one of the problems is that they went a little too all in on Mundus caring about his dead baby. And, like, that's the bad guy. But at that point, you're like, boy, Mundus might have a fucking point. Humans kind of suck. What the fuck?
You really have to take a step back and think about who is the villain in that situation.
And it's like, yes, of course, that baby is like a horrible monster, you know?
But when you are telling your plan to your comrades, and you're like, our plan hinges on the fact that our enemy will probably care about his girlfriend and child.
Yeah.
And if we kill them, he will be so upset, he'll be an easy target for us to kill.
Yeah.
You have to go... What?
Wait, what?
Are you sure
am I supposed to be rooting for these people?
Are you sure that's a good idea?
No. So, all you have to do, if Dante's problem is that he doesn't give a shit, right?
Right.
Then just make none of these villains give a shit about each other. They're all in it for themselves. Just make it really obvious that, like, Phantom and Lilith and the Succubus, if you want to keep her, you know, they're all in it for themselves. Nobody cares about each other. You know, Sparta, it was like he was different in that way from, like, other demon generals, was that he actually cared. And that's like, even, you know, if you want to get corny, Jesus, that's just a thing you can have Kat say to Dante. It was like, your father cared. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen Marvel movies.
You wouldn't have the fact that Sparta woke up to justice, which is a shame because it's one of the best lines to ever be uttered in a video game of all time ever.
Woke up to justice.
Not even ironically am I saying that. I'm saying the bombastic voice of woke up to justice.
It just rules.
Is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
It instantly sells you on Devil May Cry.
Coolest.
Sparta woke up to justice.
So you can't have that because American audiences aren't ready for it.
It's true. We're weak.
But you can have Kat, you know, get mad at Dante and tell him, like, hey, you know, your dad gave a shit and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, exactly. It's corny, but whatever. Devil May Cry and its soul is corny. You need a little bit of corny goodness.
Yeah, you still need to have that, you know, even if in a game like Devil May Cry, even a series like this, which is Wacky Woohoo Pizza Man Adventures.
Right.
Even in the reboot, which is Wacky Woohoo Pizza Dick Man Adventures, I guess. You still need the moment where things get serious so that the audience can care a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. And so
instead of being like, we're going to rely on the villains giving a shit, it's more of, hey, heroes, you need to give a shit.
You need to give a shit. And so, like, just make it really obvious. Mundus doesn't care about Lilith. Lilith doesn't care about Mundus. Lilith probably doesn't even care about her horrible demon spawn, you know? Like, because that's the other thing, was that, like, she is gross and, like, a horrible person as well. But you also made her care about her baby, and then you shot her in the stomach. Like, so that's not cool. So just make it be like, these bad guys, they don't give a fuck. And if you don't give a fuck, you're gonna end up like them. Simple.
And that also gives the heroes the freedom to kind of move around and take them out one by one, because
They don't. Oh, that's so good.
Mundus,
I didn't even think about it in that context.
Mundus isn't going to fly in a rage and seek revenge because you shot the guy that gives him all of his sponsorships.
Yeah.
He's going to get real pissed about it, but, like, he's not going to swear vengeance.
Bloody vengeance. Yeah, no.
You
just... And that's the thing, is it's another... Because, like, you know... So, in Devil May Cry, I think you asked me this once. You were like, why did Mundus bring Dante to Malay Island when he could have easily just come to Dante and caught him off guard and killed him then? And the answer is, the villains are arrogant. That's why they're villains.
Yeah.
Like, that's
ultimately,
the answer.
that's the answer, yeah.
You know, the villains are arrogant, and that's what makes them bad guys. Pride. And so... You just roll with that. All of these villains, they see, like, the other generals being taken out, and they don't care. Or maybe they do care, but they're not going to go after Dante. They're going to be like, well, he'll come to me, and I'll be ready for him. And it's corny, but whatever. Who cares? It's a video game.
They're stupid.
They're stupid. They're bad guys. They're all arrogant, and none of them care about each other. And so Dante can see, like, they don't care about each other. They don't care about people. They don't care about their kids or anything like that. They're all terrible people. And they all deserve to be taken out. It's like simple, basic moral storytelling to just go like, yeah.
And you know, that's fine because again, Devil May Cry is not a deep series.
No, and it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. So
the beauty of Devil May Cry is that it has a simple story told in a compelling way. I've talked at length about how I think the writing in 3 is more nuanced than people realize. And it's a really simple story. There's a guy at the top of the tower, go kick his ass. Oh no, somebody's betrayed us. That's it. You know?
Yeah, it's just, simply put, the number of cutscenes in the game are very limited.
Yeah,
it's a fine. Small number of cutscenes throughout Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
So, you know, even we're kind of overthinking the plot of our reboot idea.
Right.
But, I mean, we're cleaning it up so it's much more straightforward because the problem is that this game fell into the thing of more complicated means better.
Yeah, and that's not it. That's not it at all. The best kind of stories are simple stories told with a lot of heart.
Yeah, you don't need to overthink things. Things can just kind of go, and, you know, as long as people are having fun, they're not going to think too hard about it and question it. As
long as, like, you know, the hero, like, the motivation behind everybody's actions kind of makes sense, and, like, everything is internally consistent, like, the logic of the universe is internally consistent, everybody's, like, their reasons for taking actions are relatable to a certain degree, you know, and there is maybe just a hint of some kind of morality, not necessarily even morality, but theming. People generally like some kind of theming in their media, even if they don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have those, literally, that's it. Characters with relatable motivations, some theming, you know, stuff like that. That's what people want in their story, generally speaking. It's enough to keep people happy, you know? So, that's it. You don't have to make these villains complex. It's Devil May Cry. They're demons. They're bad people. They take advantage of the weak,
like,
you know?
The whole point of them being demons and Dante being half human, or in this case half angel, is that demons are static. They don't progress. They don't learn. They don't adapt. They don't grow or develop. They stay as they are.
Right. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to think about it, this idea of, like, if you want to, and again, I'm overthinking our dumb reboot idea, but, hey, the idea that Dante doesn't care, he's spawned off of two people who are from species that don't care. Like, the demons don't care about each other and they rule humanity with an iron fist. The angels didn't care so much that they literally just bailed and left people to their own devices, you know? So, like, Dante is the result of the two last people of those species who cared, and now he is falling into the same kind of mental trap of just not giving a shit. You know, he's so powerful, he can look after himself, and that's all that matters. I don't give a crap about anything else. I just want to fight demons and be done with it.
And
learn to not, to learn to care.
Due to the influence of humans.
People. Yeah.
So there you go. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
So, I mean,
you can even keep like the flashbacks and because I'm not opposed to the flashbacks in the mansion, and apparently neither is Itsuno because of stuff I see in the 5 trailer.
But
you can keep the flashbacks in the mansion and have Ava be like, "Oh, your father and I both fell in love with humanity." Literally, that's all you need to have them say. We both fell in love with humanity. We both decided to stay on Earth to keep it safe and live happily with our children because we think that raising you two like humans would be good for you because humans have such a wealth of, emotions and expressions, and so you two should try to live not as Nephilim, but as human.
There you go. And hey, look at also the fact that Sparta took on a human appearance as opposed to a demonic appearance. It's almost like that means something.
It means a thing. It's crazy.
Also, also as a side note, in our reboot, Sparta's dead. Not a prisoner with a plot line that doesn't get resolved ever and is never brought up ever again, even though it probably should have been.
They really thought they were getting a sequel. Man, they really thought they were getting a sequel with the way they set that plot up. Boy, oof. It's embarrassing to look at it now. But anyways, so yeah, that's like we kind of got off, but we have the bones of the story. Demons don't give a shit. Cat does. Dante needs to learn to care. So
there's a whole other character that we have not even mentioned at once.
We didn't even talk about we're out there an hour and 10 in, and we have to talk about, here is the thing. If you didn't change anything about DmC Devil May Cry, but you just took out Virgil, I would probably like this game infinitely more.
I hate that I had the exact same thought, throughout the week. Throughout the week, I was thinking about this after we decided on the topic, and I was thinking about, what do I want to say and stuff. And thinking about it while we're talking about it now, I'm like, holy fuck. You could cut Virgil out, and it would be fine.
It still wouldn't be great. But, right now, I would say that DmC Devil May Cry's writing is, a 3. But if you cut out Virgil, it would instantly elevate to, a 6. Because everything... And it is...
Virgil is the worst character.
It is partly because Virgil is so damn cool in the mainline series. It's a problem. Because, main Virgil rules. He's the coolest character in Devil May Cry. Don't at me.
You'll find you will find very few people who disagree with you on that one.
Some people are like, it's Dante. No, Dante's cool, but come on, my man.
But did you see him do the thing in Devil May Cry 3, though?
He's so cool.
Did you see the part where he caught the bullets on his sword and he laid them out in a line? No.
It's so cool. It is indisputable. So yeah, that is the problem. Part of it is that, DmC Devil May Cry Virgil has the problem of trying to follow up that act, but also, nothing about his characterization really makes any sense. And he's just insufferable. I mean, he is insufferable as a character, as, anything. God, he's so bad. Even if his name wasn't Virgil, I mean, the fact that his name is Virgil makes me loathe him to a degree that borders on, absurd. But even if he was just, a guy, I would hate him so much. The hate would not be changed because everything about his character is so annoying. From just the wheedly way he talks.
Right? Oh, God, I know.
I know. Again, it's like you gotta follow up Dan Southworth and like his dope ass, like kind of nasally, gritty voice that he has in 3, and you're like, how do you get? He just sounds so cool. Okay, we can't talk about this. We gotta talk about rewriting.
We gotta fix it. We gotta fix Virgil.
What do you do with Virgil, though?
So here's the thing: is we have a plot line that's going pretty good right now. It's pretty solid and consistent, you know.
Yeah.
Kat finds Dante. She convinces him to fight demons. He slowly works his way up the ranks of Mundus' army. Slowly learns to give a shit, and by the end, he's fighting Mundus, and he's fully on the side of humanity. Yada yada yada.
Simple.
So, how do you throw Virgil into this plot?
Yes.
Here's my solution. Might not be the best. We can talk about it.
Sure.
He just pops the fuck up. Because one of the things about Devil May Cry 3, and one of the important things about the Dante-Virgil dynamic, is that these two just fucking hate each other and they just keep getting into fights. They are twins. Yeah. They're not enemies. They're twin brothers who get pissed off at each other.
Everything the other does makes them angry.
You literally have a moment where Dante's holding his amulet and Virgil says, "Give me that." And Dante says, "No way, you got your own." And Virgil says, "But I want yours." This is literal dialogue in Devil May Cry 3.
That is an actual argument I have had with my younger brother. Like, word for word, an argument I've had with my kid brother. I want that. No, you've got your own. Well, I want yours too. You know?
So, the thing about Virgil is that, and I don't blame Tamim for this one, because this is the perception that you have, which is, Dante is Wacky Woohoo Pizza Man.
Right.
So Virgil is the opposite of Dante. So Virgil is very stern and serious, and he has no time for fun. And he is just this power-seeking nobleman-like type.
But
he's not!
He's really not. It's why Virgil is so cool.
What makes Virgil stand out as a rival character is that he's as much of a dickbag as Dante is. He just has a different way of doing it.
He taunts you. He does like dumb weapons show-offs. He shit talks bad guys. Like, he does everything Dante does.
Their rivalry is not something noble. It's not something like dramatic. It's literally just two brothers who are just scratch fighting at each other because I'm not touching you. Like, that's literally it. They're just 19 years old now doing that.
They're 19 years old and they've got superpowers, so of course they're taking it to just like the logical conclusion of sibling fighting. You know?
You get that bit where Dante's like, "This party sucks. There's no food. There's only one girl," and Virgil's like, "Sorry, I didn't have time to plan for the bad."
It's like, that was so
and cool. It's like, oh. Virgil's a shithead.
Fun of Dante for being a shit.
Yeah.
You're funny too. Okay. Yeah.
So how do you translate that into a reboot? It's simple. Have Virgil just keep popping up sometimes to kick Dante's ass.
Yeah.
Because he's a dickbag twin brother.
He's just a dickbag twin brother, and at some point, because Dante is still kind of like a jerk, you know, at some point have Virgil come in and like Dante beats the bad guy and then Virgil comes in and just murks the shit out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And he steals and again, not to try and make it like Devil May Cry 3 because you can change the context of what is happening. But yeah, it would be hysterical actually to have like, you know, the bad guy is getting his second wind and he's ready to go again. You know, he's having like says something like, "This is the most fun I've had in 2,000 years fighting you," and then Virgil just pops up and just murks him,
just
turns him into paste. Yeah, without even trying. He makes it look easy, you know? And then Dante's like, "Dude, that was mine?" And they get into like, you know, Dante gets mad because his brother just stole his toy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So you can you can have this thing where Virgil not only stands in as a character that's really cool and exciting and charming to see on screen.
Right.
Have Virgil be a good, just like in Devil May Cry 3, where Virgil is a good reference point to how Dante is growing stronger as a person. Because we talked about this in the episode. You lose the first fight. You tie the second fight. You win the third fight.
Yep.
How do you translate that spirit into the reboot? Say you fight Virgil 3 times in the reboot now. Mm-hmm. Instead of just once at the end where it doesn't matter and no one cares. Because why was Virgil strong? He never did anything.
Oh god, that's right. He doesn't do anything the whole game.
Yeah.
And then we're expected to think he's like a threatening boss, and he's doing all.
So have this thing where early on in the game, like relatively early on in the game, Cat has Dante on a mission.
Right.
While he's doing it, Dante gets word that Virgil's in the area. Mm-hmm. Have a thing where Dante abandons the mission to go throw down with Virgil.
That's really good. Yeah, he totally bails on getting this thing done, and bad things happen because Dante would rather just go throw down with his jerk brother.
Yeah, so you have that. Second fight is like you said, Virgil comes in and murks the guy that Dante was actually taking care of.
Right.
So you have thing where Dante is starting to grow. He's doing the mission, Virgil's showing up, and yeah, Dante was doing the thing, but he's more mad that Virgil upstaged him.
Right.
Than he is that, like, what did you do? You killed that guy when he was surrendering or whatever, whatever you want to set it up.
Yeah.
Or just like Dante, or instead of like, why did you show up now instead of earlier when I could have used your help or whatever.
Yeah. No, Dante's just mad that
he's just mad that he
stole his kill.
Yeah. And then the third fight is Virgil, get out of my way. I need to take care of this.
Right, yeah.
And that's like the ultimate marker that Dante has grown as a person and has succeeded Virgil, the guy that he's tried his hardest to overcome.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine.
And then Virgil can leave the story and you can fight Mundus at the end.
And then you have like your sequel hook, which is like Dante still has beef with his brother. You don't have to end this game the way it ended in 3, because like 3 is like so there's a difference between the first story in a trilogy and a prequel.
Right.
Like yes, technically, like A New Hope is the prequel to The Empire Strikes Back, but no, not really, because a prequel kind of carries a different connotation, like in language. Like, yes, that technically does mean that, but no, it doesn't actually mean that.
It's a prequel more serves to recontextualize or explain events that you have seen already.
Yeah.
Whereas the first chapter of something is just the introduction of it.
Yeah, exactly. You're just introducing the story. So in this, we are going at it that it's not a prequel. It is the first chapter in a 2 to 3 part story about like Dante kind of coming into his own as like somebody who cares to protect humanity, and who is kind of working through like his apathy and kind of his anger at getting a raw deal with dead parents and the world treating him like poorly. You can still keep that, don't give me that garbage shit about medication, because but you can still have like, Dante in the aftermath of like their mom's mom getting murdered is like, hey, yeah, the world treated me really poorly, and so why should I care about the world, and it's like, there's still good people in it. Obviously Kat is right there, and there are people like trying their best, and we're all just trying to get by in like a crapsack world full of like people who want to grind us under their heel. And that's like a relatable theme. Holy crap. It's almost like a thing that people could really resonate with, even if it's a simple story. And that's all it has to be about. It doesn't really need to be about like the drama between Dante and Virgil. That can come later.
Yeah,
you know? And you can still set Virgil up to be just as bitter as Dante, because that's the other thing, is that to keep these characters similar but different is like the only decent little moment of characterization that Virgil has in all of DMC Devil May Cry. He has a single thing that is like, oh, kind of interesting. And it's a bit where Dante asks Virgil, why are you, like, what's up with the computers thing? And Virgil says, like, oh, it was just a good way to kind of keep my mind off of, like, the horribleness of things. It made me feel like I was doing something. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. You can still have that, because Dante and Virgil in the original mainline story, they share the same hang-up. They have the same pain. Murdered mom. And they're handling it in different ways. And you can still have that. You can still have Reboot Virgil be like, the world showed me no kindness, why should I show it any in return? Like, why not just be a guy who just... And it's, hey, it's cool. It's kind of like drawing parallels between the main character and the spoil. It's... Where he's saying he's doing kind of the same thing Dante was doing, but in a more controlled way, where he's like, I'm just, fighting things because it, makes me feel powerful. Hey, I still want to be powerful. Whoa. That's Virgil's
there you go. It's almost like it connects. And it's almost like, again, the other thing that public perception has about Virgil is that Virgil's a villain. He's not.
He's not a villain.
Yeah, he does bad things because
Can't wait for Devil May Cry 5 to shit all over that, but it's not.
He did bad things in Devil May Cry 3 because he's an asshole.
And this was
his way of getting power, was to do this.
Right.
Virgil in the reboot was a villain. He fell, and he decided to attack humanity. Mm-hmm. Like, it's called Virgil's downfall. So So the idea of him just being a character that shows up to challenge Dante every so often keeps that spirit of Virgil being an asshole, not a villain.
Yeah, and you could even have it be like, because you still want that kind of catharsis of Virgil helping you with the final boss, and it's like, well, Mundus interrupts the duel. And so Virgil helps with, like, the first leg of the final boss, and then for whatever reason fucks off at the end of the game.
Yeah, and and it's kind of the same thing, where it's like, the whole point is that Dante and Virgil compete constantly.
Right.
Over everything. Virgil can internalize the idea of Dante growing as a person as the next stage of their confrontation, of their competition, Yeah. And he needs to be on his own growth to start giving a shit about things. And he can internalize that in probably a weird way that would be potentially dealt with in a sequel.
Yeah.
But the idea of helping out with Mundus, helping out fight Mundus, is his first step that Dante took way back at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Parallels.
Yes, exactly. It's connections and theming and tying loose ends and
making players reflect back on the growth they've gone through as a player, tied to the growth that the player character has gone through, like, over the course of the story. It all kind of, because you can see, like, Virgil deciding to help with the fight against Mundus as, like, you kind of go, like, oh, kind of like that moment Dante had back all the way in, like, Mission 7,
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's insane.
And, hell, you can even set up, in a context ways, which is, why does Cat not know who Virgil is? Well, that's how far he's gone into himself.
Yeah, he's not trying. He's not, like, Dante is fighting demons and making a name for himself as a demon hunter, like, as a devil hunter. And Virgil is not even concerned with making a name for himself. The only thing he wants to do is fight demons, get strong. It has nothing to do with, like, making money. It has nothing to do with getting a reputation. It's all a completely internal, self-centered affair.
Exactly. And you can... I know, and just like as far as little details go, you can even have that exchange between Kat and Dante where she's like, there's another Nephilim out there, well, we should recruit him, and he can be like, that's not a good idea.
Not happening. I won't, I don't want to work with him. Any number of, you can give plenty of reasons Dante doesn't want to work with him. Virgil is a massive asshole. Kat's like, are you sure he's a massive asshole? Or have, like, the two of you ever had a conversation? Which is, like, a thing that would be interesting to have, somebody say, like, you're kind of screwed up too, so maybe you should, like, actually talk to your brother at some point. And then you could even have, like, a moment where, like, Mundus, you beat Virgil, and Dante is about to be like, man, listen, can we just, like, talk? And then, like, and it's like, wow, that's, like, a huge character moment for Dante, because Dante never wants to talk in this reboot. That's not, like, his character. And then, of course, it's interrupted by Mundus being like, rah! And then, like, I shouldn't laugh at my own joke, or whatever, Any number of ways you can do it.
But, like, and I'm seeing, like, cutscenes play out in my head while we're talking about this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the idea of the Virgil 1 fight where, again, you lose in the end, in the Virgil 1 fight, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Dante fucks off and abandons the mission, but ends up losing anyway. Yeah. You can have a bit where Dante's laying on his back and Virgil, has Yamato drawn and he points Yamato down at Dante. Right. And then, at the end of Virgil 3 fight, Virgil's lying on his back, and Dante holds out his hand. Yeah. Holds out his hand.
Oh man! This is like simple, like it's Hollywood script. It's like simple, it's the most basic, like Hollywood scriptwriter garbage ever. But and it at least like has some kind of emotional resonance.
But it works.
You're like held out his hand. I was like, oh, that's good. It's so simple. And, works.
And if you can imagine, if you're playing the game and you see it, you're like, oh, back in the first fight, they had his weapon drawn. Oh.
You can even do, like, that thing that everybody loves where the camera angles are exactly the same.
Yeah,
but instead, Dante just sticks his hand out and, like, helps him up.
Yeah.
And is like, boy, we gotta talk. Mm-hmm. And then the final boss starts happening, and it's like, maybe later. And then afterwards, you can have Virgil help with Mundus in a significant way, and then, like, I don't know, somehow it's just Dante and Mundus. I don't know how. I'm not, I'm
whatever. Yada yada. The building collapses and Virgil is something.
Who cares? They get pulled into like a deeper part of Limbo that like only Mundus can access because he is like the demon god. And, then he only wants to fight Dante because Dante's been the one who's been, like, a real thorn in his side, a number of reasons. But you have, and then by the end of it, they have, like, that little moment at the end of this game where, like, Dante and Virgil kind of look at each other and Dante's like, maybe we're gonna talk? And then Virgil, like, the one cool thing, again, that was established in DmC Devil May Cry that 5 is cribbing is Dante, Virgil draws Yamato, makes a portal, and then just fucks off. And it's like, oh, well, we'll have to resolve that one in the sequel.
Yeah, next time.
Next time on DmC Devil May Cry. Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like a real plot.
Because, and one of the other things I made a note of here is that one of the reasons that, like, again, Virgil doesn't work in the actual reboot is because it's, again, spirit and theming, it's so important that Virgil be stronger than Dante. Because this is about Dante's growth.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know. Because it's like, what? Because especially if you're positioning Virgil as the final boss of DmC Devil May Cry, but you've never actually seen Virgil do anything, you really don't get the sense that Dante is overcoming anything. Like, yeah. So he's not really, like, he's just beating up a nerd. He's not, like, overcoming this big hurdle. The hurdle was Mundus. This is just, like,
it's a victory lap.
Yeah, it's just a victory lap, and you don't feel like you're really, like, succeeding. You don't feel like, this is me taking everything I've learned, and I'm really overcoming this big moment. I mean, even the staging for the fight with Virgil in DmC Devil May Cry is so... They're just, like, in a street. It's not any kind of, like, dramatic staging or anything. It doesn't have the same punch as Virgil 3 and DmC 3. But yeah, no, and you don't have to do, like, that's the thing, is that you really don't have to do a lot with Virgil in this game. You just have him, like, be there occasionally. In, like...
What you're doing is you're establishing the reason that Virgil 3 was so good in the third game.
Right.
Because you can't just fight Virgil. Because it doesn't work that way.
Right.
The reason that Virgil is cool, and even you could even say that, like, hey, for the most part, Virgil is even the final villain of Devil May Cry 3.
No, like, he's not. He's not the villain, but that is the culmination. So, like, that's the thing, is that...
But I'm saying, like, it's okay to make him not the primary target of the reboot.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because it's also kind of this idea of shifting focus and what makes a reboot... Like, a good reboot is something that takes ideas from the original and then changes what is important or recontextualizes them or does any number of things. And so, like, this idea of, like, in Devil May Cry 3, Dante fighting and overcoming Virgil is, like, the culmination of his character development, because it's like, you know, I have overcome my sociopathic man-child phase, and now I am a fully realized character, and the only thing standing between me and, like, my destiny, basically, is my brother, who wants to do a horrible thing. And in this, you know, so overcoming Virgil physically is the moment. But in the reboot, as we have it now, that moment of, like, where Dante has been just an insufferable man-child again, is you beat Virgil as, like, an expression of caring, and then you overcome it in the plot where Dante does, like, show, like, hey, I actually give a crap now, and, like, I want to do, like, right by the people around me, and hey, that includes you. And it kind of... the one thing that everybody saw was like, hey, that's kind of interesting in DmC Devil May Cry is, like, Virgil and Dante working together, like, and not always being at each other's throats, and you could do something with that in, like, a potential sequel. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it, you know, you want that, like, that was the one thing everybody really kind of wanted more of. That's the thing everybody really wants in Devil May Cry 5 is just to have those two, like, you know, sit around and have a conversation.
Right.
Like, God, please, that's all I'm asking right now. Devil May Cry 5 is just to have those two characters have a conversation. That is it. The bar is in hell at this point.
It's so low.
It's so low. If you literally just have Dante and Virgil, like, talk in 5, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, game of the year, game of the decade. But yeah, I mean, you could just, and it would be like in a smaller way in this game, but you would still have them, like, not being at each other's throats, just having a conversation, and then having it interrupted by the bad guy, and then they end the game not with Virgil going to hell, but Virgil just kind of, like, going back to doing his own thing, and maybe you set it up for, like, a sequel or something.
Yeah, you have the potential to expand on that later, but
and then you don't imply that Kat is Dante's out of nowhere love interest, for God's sake.
Right, yeah, that you don't do that.
You don't do that either. Like, and then you don't have to deal with God, because what I really needed in my Devil May Cry game was a love triangle. You definitely don't have to worry about Kat being like, oh, but Virgil. No,
right?
No.
I mean, I think, like, just out of what we have right now, I think it would be hilarious to have Kat go, who is that?
Who are you?
When looking at Virgil.
Yeah.
I would like that very much, because I know what Kat and Virgil are like already.
Yeah, it would be great, you know, to have Kat just not care. Like, oh, my brother is an idiot and a jerk. Don't worry about it. And Kat's like, okay, maybe down the line, you know? but we're not a good fool with it right now because Virgil is like combative and a wild card to a degree that even Dante is not. You know, just have Virgil be like, wild card, bitches, yeah! That's it. That's Virgil's whole character in this reboot. Is just that one scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, cool. Was that so hard?
It's not difficult to fix this and make it good, and we didn't even have to, we didn't even go into it, but, like, obviously, like we said, aesthetically, it would need to change a lot. I don't think you have to change a lot of the character designs. Maybe change Kat a little bit. Her outfit is bad.
Yeah, bad.
Maybe make it good instead, but, like, fuck. You could keep Dante the same looking, and maybe not Virgil. Maybe you change Virgil back to a good character design.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the more I look at Dante, the more I'm like, if he was named differently, I would be okay with that character.
It's a fine character design. I like that his jacket has the red lining, because it's a cool, like, oh, he's still Dante underneath all of it. Hey, it's like visual symbolism. And he's still Dante underneath all of it. I will say that the game cowered, or maybe I'm like misremembering. I don't know. I'm probably misremembering because I haven't like watched that LP since it finished. Does the game end with Dante with white hair?
Yeah, he gets white hair because he activates his devil trigger fighting Virgil, and he gets white hair.
So then yeah, that's it. You just end the game like that, and it's fine. You know, like the design is fine. It's just kind of dirty looking.
Yeah, I mean,
he's wearing like a dirty tank top.
Give him a shower and like a t-shirt, and like, I mean, I guess, you know what? Just fucking make him look more like Travis Touchdown, I guess.
I guess so. You know, it's fine.
Change Travis's jacket into a trench coat, and it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, you know, it's like just the minorest of aesthetic updates. And I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff aesthetically for DmC that I actually really like. You know, I like the one cool boss that Wooly and Pat really liked, the guy with the red face.
Yeah, the sub boss, like, the recurring one that shows up constantly.
Yeah, he's cool. Like, there's some neat designs in there. Bob Barbas fight is pretty interesting. You can keep Bob Barbas for all I care.
Yeah.
You know, you keep him, you just change a few things around, make the villains not at all, like, sympathetic. Let Kat actually have some agency and the desire to do right by the world on her own will, not because she's motivated by man, because that's really tacky, and extremely dated. And, you know, it's such simple concepts like that. You know, Dante can still be a jerk, but he's a jerk who learns to be a good person. Because the problem is that in DmC Devil May Cry, like, they tell you that Dante is a better person by the end of that game, but not really. Like, it doesn't really come across that way. Because
we talked about this during the riff tracks, where it's like, wow, Dante spends a lot of time standing there in a room and listening to people talk.
Yeah, he's not like a proactive character. You know, you just make him more like willing to set out and do things for himself and for not being told to do the good thing. He decides to do the good thing on his own. Like, yeah, that's it. That's all you gotta do. It's simple stuff like that. And it's like, I don't understand. I mean, I do think it goes back to this idea that Tamim just has like a really weird fundamental misunderstanding of what makes a character relatable. You know, we were talking about that whole thing in Enslaved where he's like, you know, he kicks the guy to his death. Isn't that cool? And everybody else is like, no, it actually just kind of makes him seem like an asshole, like a sociopath.
Yeah, you know? that's not cool, actually.
That's not cool. That's the problem, is that there are, like, you know, in retrospect now, there are bones to DmC Devil May Cry. They're like, you could almost have had a good reboot in here somewhere. But the writer has just kind of a misunderstanding of what is good storytelling.
He has a misunderstanding of storytelling and a misunderstanding of what people are endeared to.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, it really harkens back to, I don't know if we discussed this a lot, but it's something I keep thinking about, where it's like, stop giving reboots to people that don't like the thing they're rebooting.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Is you should probably enjoy the thing you're rebooting,
a reboot,
or have no attachment to it whatsoever.
Because, like, the idea of a reboot is that, again, the ideal of it is that you're updating the concepts for a modern audience,
right?
Or recontextualizing the themes and elements for you know, a different age group, a different generation, basically.
Right.
You know, I always look back at DuckTales, which is a great reboot, because that's what it does.
Yeah.
So, when you hand it to someone that doesn't like the product, they're going to try to quote-unquote, fix it the way they think the thing should be done.
I guess that technically is what we've just been doing for the last hour and 5 minutes. But
yeah, but we're fans of Devil May Cry. We know what makes the regular Devil May Cry good. And why people enjoy that.
Right.
So when we're rebooting it to encourage the audience who's already there to be interested in it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. To give them something they might want.
Yeah, I mean, you're making a reboot not only for a new audience, but to make sure the old audience, like, approves of it, you know?
Yeah, you still want it to appeal to the old fans because they are the first people who are going to buy it. So you should probably make it at least a little bit appealing to them.
They're the ones who are going to go, oh, hey, nephew, you're watching that new cartoon? Yeah, it's really good. It's like the one I liked when I was a kid. Or what you don't want is, hey, nephew, don't watch that garbage. Watch the one that I watched as a kid because this one's way better. Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. Or, like I said, you get somebody who has absolutely no emotional connection to it whatsoever, like Warren Ellis.
Yeah, like Warren Ellis. And then he will feel no obligation to appeal to either group.
Right.
And he just kind of make his own thing.
Make his own thing that still somehow captures the spirit of Castlevania. I don't know how he did it. I guess it's because he's Warren Ellis and he's really, really good at this. We are not Warren Ellis.
No.
But I still think we did a better job than Tamim. Yeah, you know, it's simple things. Give cats some agency. Things like that, you know. Make Virgil cool again.
Yeah, make Virgil like a character that's actually cool and bring back the things that people liked about the Virgil-Dante dynamic in the first place.
Yeah,
and
you're
just
overcoming this huge challenge.
Yeah, give Dante a better hero's journey where he actually does grow and not is just said to have grown but doesn't still do anything to show that by the end. Don't have them shoot a pregnant woman in the stomach with the sniper rifle.
That's probably a good idea.
That's a big fix that you should do in your stories.
Don't
put that in.
You shouldn't do, like, in anything. It's just kind of like, even if it's a bad person, that's still just like, that's not good. It doesn't really make your heroes look like the kind of people you want to root for, you know?
These are just little things that Tamim could take into consideration when he listens to this.
Yeah, and less just, like, grossness. I mean, I know I swear a lot on this podcast. Like, constantly. But, like, it's just, it feels so, juvenile in DmC Devil May Cry. It's not even, like, clever.
It's
insults.
The fuck you exchange where Succubus is just, like, spitting constantly and, like, really drooling is, like, that's not
cool.
It's not good.
It's not funny. It's not really cool or, like, compelling. I think a lot about, really more so, I think of, you know, that bit, Pat, I'm kind of cribbing this from Pat, because he's the one who said it. You know that bit when Dante's trying to get into the club and he knocks the bouncer out, because he's like, you're not on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Pat was like, you know what he should have, because, like, you know, he knocks the guy out, he takes the list, and he writes, fuck you, and walks in, and you're like, oh,
right.
Okay. Pat said, he's like, he should have just written his name. That would have been hilarious.
It would have been hilarious. He should have just signed it Dante. And then that would have been a great joke.
It would have been a good joke. He knocks the bouncer out. The bouncer is in cahoots with all these jerks. So, you know, he kind of deserves to at least, you know, get laid out. And he writes his name on it and walks in. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of funny. You know, it's like a simple joke, but hey, I'm on the list now. I'm in. You know? Crazy. You know.
Almost like almost like there's a point to humor that's not just saying the F word a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is that I don't think I'm funny. So I can say the F word as much as I want, and nobody's going to stop me. So, yeah. Are we good?
I think we're good. I think we did it.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover? I think we hit all the main things. All the main things. Most of the other stuff I have is just, like, make Rebellion look cool and not dumb. Rebellion looks really, okay, no. Rebellion does not offend me. It just doesn't look cool. But it's fine. It's a sword. Like, it's just a sword, you know? I think Ebony and Ivory look like shit.
Oh, yeah. They need to be just regular guns and not
They just need to be what are those guns that they're... I don't even know what they were going for.
They're so weird looking.
They're really bad, and they're really... I think I've said this on the podcast before, but they're really small.
We did! No! We absolutely talked about how... Ebony and Ivory and Rebellion are smaller, and that just makes it all the funnier that they have the joke later on.
About big dicks.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's just... I can't get over it because they just look so puny and flaccid. And so impotent. Yeah. It's almost like those guns are just constantly shooting blanks.
No! It's the opposite, though! It's the opposite, though, because they're really powerful!
Oh my god.
And that's a fault!
This is so stupid. This podcast sucks. What else were the little high points on your list? Because I was just focused on characters when I was thinking about this.
Oh, I mean, it was just...
Design things?
Yeah, just design things, like change the fist weapon to not look like Hulk hands.
Oh god, yeah, you should... Yeah, the Hulk hands are so bad. The Hulk hands are so... It would be really cool if you got the fist weapons from beating Phantom, so they're like weird spider, like magma spider punchy hands.
Yeah,
cool.
like talons or like spikes, you know, or something.
Like they're made out of his teeth or something, you know? Like those like fangs that spiders. I'm making the... God, I need to get we need to do this on like a webcam. So
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, cool.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Just little things like that.
Just little bits here and there. It's don't
make Virgil look like Draco Malfoy.
Don't do that. Instead, really just make him look like a cool guy instead.
Like a cool guy, you know. It's fine. Let Cat do something. I'm really bitter about the Cat thing. It's just like, because Tamim was such a shit about Lady and Trish.
Well, yeah, the thing is that if Tamim hadn't said that, it wouldn't be as bad.
You'd just be like, oh, it's another ineffective female character in a video game. Fine, you know, that's fine. I've played video games.
It's like after we've had, it's like, oh, we just got Kyrie, so yeah, I mean, like, that's just what it is.
She is more proactive than Kyrie.
But you know, it's one of those like, all right, well, it is what it is. But if Tamim hadn't, but then Tamim had to say that, and he
had to open his stupid mouth and call Lady and Trish strippers with shotguns, and it's like, maybe you should shut up, Tamim. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've done it. I think we fixed it.
We did it. We fixed DmC Devil May Cry. We have righted this wrong.
Now the real answer though is just make Devil May Cry 3 again. Just do the same game over. It's
the actual answer is just play Devil May Cry 5 because it comes out in like 3 days. Holy shit. Yeah.
So, all right. So I think that's good.
I think we're good. I think I got it all out of my system.
All right, cool. Thanks, Visager, for background music. And you can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. Yay. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to Sara talk about other cool stories and jackasses doing things, you can listen to her other podcast.
Hey, that was a good one. Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. Right now, we're playing Fate Core, and it just had like the wildest plot twist ever. I'm not going to tell you it, but it blew our minds. So if you want to go listen, now is the time, because you can tune in and listen to like 5 solid minutes of all of the players just flipping out on Owen, our DM. It's hysterical. You should check it out. I'm actually having a lot of fun with Fate. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks.
All right, that'll do it for us. I think we said fuck to meme last time. So.
Yeah, it's definitely fuck Reboot Virgil.
Yeah, fuck Reboot Virgil. That guy
really
sucks.
bad. He's really bad. He's really bad. He makes me really, like, I get really irrationally angry. I went, like, on a tweet storm.
No, did you see the nightmare? I think it was on the subreddit, no. So you probably have seen it. But like, it was.
Well, buddy, the subreddit is moving so fast right now. We got 600 new subscribers in 2 days.
God,
so I'm having a good time.
It was a webm of the bit from the trailer where it shows Virgil's back,
right?
And he turns around, and they spliced it so well with a bit where Reboot Virgil turns around.
The worst nightmare. I didn't see that one. I'll have to go check the subreddit tonight. Oh, God.
It was either on Twitter or it was on Reddit somewhere. It
is almost certainly on Reddit now because those motherfuckers love to repost things, all right? Don't let them hear me talking about them like this. Nobody listens to this. I don't think anybody listens to these bits but you and me and, like, maybe a few other people. So, like, don't let the rest of the Redditors know I talk about them like this. I try to be a nice mod. They don't know. I'm always like, those stupid asshole. Wait, no, we're going to try and post this episode on the DmC subreddit. I love all of you.
Thanks, DmC subreddit. You guys are great.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.